Hey, what's up, guys? Good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in. Welcome to another weekly crypto market update. As always, I am here with Zero Cool. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing fine this morning. Yourself?
Yeah, great. So finally, the market started moving upwards. I read in Discord that you're super bearish, so I'm excited to hear about this today. I'm a bit more neutral to maybe bullish, but more neutral. But let's talk about this today. So, first and foremost, I don't know if you saw it. So there is the mineral deal with the US and Ukraine, which is probably one of the reasons why we see this relief rally. I've read this is nothing but I don't know they finalized all the details yet of the deal, but one of the most important things is that even the Ukraine Minister of Economic Development and Trade said Wednesday that the economic deal is capable of delivering success for both the US and Ukraine. So let's see about that. For me, the most important thing is this is a good sign towards Putin that probably the US is behind Ukraine, and that's probably the war will stop because of this. So this is good, and this is, to me, why we see a little bit relief in the markets. And what's remarkable about this as well was there is a 9-day streak in the S&P, and we haven't seen that since 2004. That's crazy.
Yeah, largest one since 20 years, 21 years, yeah.
Yeah, so that's crazy. That's good. And we see it reflecting in Bitcoin's price as well. So Bitcoin trending upwards a bit, finally above the clouds. So this is good. So I'm honestly, I want to hear what you have to say about your technical analysis and why you're bearish. But first, let's talk a bit about the macro part. Yeah, as always, absolutely. You guys know my view on the market is liquidity drives the markets, and especially global liquidity. So at the moment, this is the weekly global liquidity update. So at the moment, just in year-to-date terms, global liquidity has expanded by 5.6 trillion. Which is very nice. And again, this week it is at a record new all-time high. It's mostly due to the dollar being weak and due to central bank liquidity picking up a little bit, mostly from China. So nothing new. But what is new, and so as you guys know, I really follow Michael Howell on this. He's the father of global liquidity. So when he speaks about this, I listen. He put out a research report, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and he revised his big global liquidity cycle a little bit. And now he's saying that he thinks the peak will be slightly further than he initially expected. And maybe, well, maximum, he says mid-2026. Before he said Q4 2025, so he revised it a little bit and he said mid-2026. I was under the impression as well that we probably will see a bit of a longer cycle, mostly due to the debt maturity wall, so the big the debt that needs to be refinanced. So let's see what. But however, what you need to look at, it will not be a big liquidity injection. How he's thinking it. So it's always hard to predict these global liquidity moves, but because you never know what the central banks are going to do. So he's thinking a little bit of upwards move percentage-wise. So he's still risk off. So this is one of the main reasons why I'm neutral and not bullish, is because Michael Howell on his liquidity view is still risk off. But, and that is the good part for the crypto cycle, he thinks it will be a little bit longer. Another very good metric to see, basically a liquidity proxy to me, is gold. And oh yeah, maybe I wanted to show this as well. So Bitcoin still on track with the global liquidity cycle. And that's basically what I wanted to say. You don't need to guess about if you're a Bitcoin investor. You don't need to guess if liquidity is going up or down, since there is this 12 to 13 week lag. So you can just wait. You see, okay, 13 weeks moving forward, Bitcoin is going up. We just play the lag and you invest beforehand. So, but what I wanted to say is gold is a very good proxy to liquidity, and it works kind of the same way as an investor. So there is a 90 to 180 day lead. And mostly what happens is when gold moves, so gold moves first and afterwards, but only when gold moves because of macro reasons, then Bitcoin follows. So what I did this week, so I probably put too much time into it, but it lasted. It took me 2 days to make this, so I made a script. And what it did is it makes buy signals based on the 90 to 100 day lead of gold, but it only triggers when it's macro related. Because the thing is, normally Bitcoin is equity related, is stock related, is risk related. But when certain macro conditions align, so for example, when the DXY is going down, when yields are falling, when liquidity is rising, then Bitcoin tends to trade more like gold. So you have to know Bitcoin is a little bit shape-shifting. So sometimes it trades like equities, sometimes it trades like gold. And the times in history when it trades like gold was when these macro conditions aligned. So I don't know if I can show you the script. So, and this is where I based the script on. Oh no, I made it. Yeah, this is not the script. I made it on another computer on PineScript 6 and it was 190 lines. So this is not it, but it still works. So
What?
yeah, I don't know. I made it on because I was at the coast last week. So I had my so I had my laptop, but I still made the script. But yeah, it only triggered 2 buy signals in history. And I think this is a very, how can I say it, a very good buy signal because it only triggers when the macro conditions align and when there is the 90 to 180 day lead will lag.
Could you zoom out a little bit on the chart?
Zoom in or zoom out?
Like show, zoom out. I want to show the other years as well. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, it kind of works. Well, the thing is, and it's the same with global liquidity, it works mostly directional. The price target, so for example, here I pointed towards 140 K, but it's mostly directional. So directional based on this this methods. Oh, now my okay. I think Bitcoin will go up based on this metric, and I think this is a very good liquidity metric. Global liquidity pointing upwards as well. So these 2 macro things are aligning for me, and these for me are super important for Bitcoin. Altcoins are a whole completely different other story, but for Bitcoin, which acts as a monetary inflation hedge, when these macro conditions align, for me, this is a good signal to buy Bitcoin.
That's fair.
Because before the stream, we talked a little bit, but we just had to go live, so we had to stop the conversation. And you said, yeah, Bitcoin trades like equities and whatnot. But the thing is, like I just said, Bitcoin is a little bit shape-shifting. And when the macro conditions align, it trades more like gold. So that was one of the arguments I wanted to use in our previous conversation.
It's super interesting times right now with Trump, right? With the tariffs and the war. I think it's unique conditions that have not happened before, where there's like, we're not on the verge of a world war, but there's always this looming threat more than in history of another world war. There's trade wars. There's a new president who's doing everything to roll over that debt at as low percentage interest as possible. So I think it's like a unique cocktail of conditions we've not had before. And something has to break. And I think it is going to break, and it's just going to crumble down into the summer. And I think we're just going to chop down towards the Q4 and then pick up again in Q4. But that's my personal...
I think you're right, but the question is, when is it going to break? Because for me, being too early is the same as being wrong as an investor. So it
absolutely,
and that's why I just, because he's smarter than me, I just follow Michael Howell's prediction that the liquidity cycle is going to go on for a little bit longer, and I see it then breaking. But like we said also before the stream, I don't know if you mentioned it right now, Michael Howell is risk off as well. But risk off is not meaning not Bitcoin, because he still has Bitcoin and gold. What he says is Bitcoin, gold, and prime real estate. Because Bitcoin in certain macro conditions trades as gold and a monetary inflation hedge. So it's different than equities in certain conditions. So well, enough rambling. I will put out a video. I'll try to do it Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday about this, because this is super interesting, this Bitcoin to gold lag or lead. So that's why I'm going to make a video about it, and hopefully I'll put it out Monday or Tuesday. So I'll go in depth a little bit more. because I like to go in depth. Sorry for the rambling again. I have very good comments on my latest altcoin video. So people seem to like this kind of in-depth analysis on certain specific topics. So I'll try to do that every single week. Moving on, the interest rates, and surprisingly enough, and I think it's probably because the 9 updates in the S&P, so the odds went down again. So there isn't even more than 50% for June. We'll see about it. I think the only reason why the odds moved up is just because the S&P moved up, and so the Fed is less likely inclined to cut rates. So,
well, it's not June 18th yet. There's still time for a nice nasty crash. Actually, the next meeting is the 5th.
Yeah, it's this week.
Ooh. Oh, damn. Okay, interesting. So it indicates no cut for this week, which means Trump failed in bullying the Fed.
Probably. I see Rage Jedi in chat. He says, "Morning, fam. We pre-rich or pre-poor." So GM, and well, it depends what asset you're holding.
Or if you're selling or not.
So next up, and I've put the tab open because to me this is also super bullish, and this is one of the main reasons why I think Bitcoin will not crash or crypto will not crash, is because of the stablecoins keep rising and keep making new all-time highs. This is just liquidity into the crypto ecosystem that's just ready to buy. It's ready to buy instantly. It's on chain. So to me, this is one of the best metrics, just to know that the cycle is not ending and that it's not the top yet. So that's why I wanted to...
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just say, I know I show it sometimes week after week, but I feel like I continue to...
It's a good indicator.
Yeah, it's just a good indicator. So I need to continue to show it. It keeps rising. So, and I even think this will be one of the reasons why we will see altcoins pumping, because mostly this liquidity moves into altcoins. So this is good for altcoins.
Yeah, we have a Discord channel that prints all the...
I can see if I can drag it.
Stablecoin prints, and then that's just print after print after print after print, and I'm like, wow. It's called Stablecoins. There it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's
print, even to a point where I said, Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
Many prints in USDT. That's indeed a very bullish indicator. Mainly because by the size, if I want to onboard, let's say $10,000 or $50,000, I'm not going to go to Tether and say, hey, mint me 50,000 USDT. It's companies or nations that want to buy hundreds of millions, and they're there to buy. With my 10 or 50,000 that I would put in, I can also short, right? It's not because it's entering 10 million or whatever amounts of new USDT that it's meant for buying. But in this size, it is more likely that you're going to buy with it than like shorts with it or play DeFi or NFTs or whatever, right?
But just look at the screen. I don't know if it's clear for you, but only this week, these last 7 days, it's plus 4 billion. Yeah. So
it's Sailor probably. Like I said last week or the week before, I think it was 2 weeks ago, GME also has not yet announced their buys. I think CZ has been saying the last couple of days that a lot of nation states are buying.
There was the NVIDIA rumor.
Yeah, I guess, but I'll believe it when I see it. We've seen so many rumors of, company X has been buying Bitcoin. That, like I said then when you posted that news used to move the markets. Like, oh my God, Tesla's gonna buy Bitcoin. Proop, candle of $2,000.
What was it in 2021? Walmart was gonna use Litecoin and doubled instantly, but it was fake. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's news that used to use move markets, not anymore. So very skeptical about it. But it's possible, I guess.
So moving on, I got 2 nice charts I saw from Bravest Research. So I recently followed them. I think their charts are pretty nice. It's the Bitcoin and hash ribbon indicator. So normally I use the one from Capriol Investments, but the one here now from Bravest Research just signaled a buy now on the hash ribbons, which means that the miner capitulation is over. And to me, this is usually usually a good buy signal. So it's basically supply and demand. Stablecoins is also supply and demand. So as long as the supply and demand for Bitcoin is in favor of buying and not selling, to me, this is always good because Bitcoin is not a company. So you need to look at metrics like this.
Yes, but last time we printed the buy signal, we went from like 80 to 50K.
Yeah, look. Do you see the chart? Usually it's...
I see it. But I meant the last one, like not the one that printed just now, but the one before that. That I remember that instinctively because we also mentioned it on the streams, like, hey, there's a buy signal on the hash rates, and the price plummeted to like, I don't know, what is it, 52K or whatever it went to be. Quickly check.
Well,
it was the last range. Yeah, it went from 70 to 49-ish. So...
Well, as I always say, you need to look at a lot of metrics together and then paint a whole picture. So it's not only one thing. That's why probably. So I'm now fueling the bulls with all my stuff here, and you're probably gonna show the your TA and
I don't have that much to be bearish compared to the amount of bullish stuff you have, but
well. It's not super bullish either because, like I said, the liquidity, it's going upwards, but it's not abundant. So, which means it's not going to support risk assets like altcoins, for example. It's only going to support gold and maybe monetary inflation and Bitcoin, and that's just about it. So that's why I said I'm neutral. The last thing I saw was, and normally I never heard about it, the 300-day moving average for Bitcoin, but it's looked like this cycle, it's the bottom. So this cycle, the 300-day moving average is working and it's always printing the bottom. So this may be good to remember in the future. I've put it here with all my other indicators. So maybe if it drops again, maybe we use it again because it seems to be working this cycle.
Yeah,
don't put too much weight in it. Yeah.
It's around 80,000 now, I think 80,500. Yeah, if we go below 80,500, starts shivering in your boots.
Who knows? It's just another thing to look at. And so that's about it for me. So I'm curious what you're going to say. And I'll show you a screen.
Let's go. I'm going to start with the dollar. Naked chart, because I've been painting on this chart for 2 years. I will show you my painting. It's beautiful, I think. It's unreadable. Point being, I have some macro levels on here. We dipped below the 100, which is one of the reasons why Bitcoin, I think, went up. Dollar has been super weak, but we're printing a little deviation, and I think the dollar is bound for some upside, meaning pressure on SPX and Bitcoin and risk assets in general. So first bearish signal for me, the dollar has nuked super hard. It's bottomed, I think, and it's due for some upside. What else do we have? Oh yes, the CVD. This is Egger. Anyone who's been trading for a while knows about this. This is a template that I can share if you want it. This shows the cumulative volume delta of every exchange where Binance futures, so perps is white, then you have Binance spots, which is orange, all the rest. And the two things that I want to point out is Bitfinex over here. They've been selling Bitcoin since around 83,000. It's just one line down, and same with Binance spots. They've been selling Bitcoin since like 93,000. While price has been moving up, and price has been moved up by perps. So people leverage trading basically. Another one, a good one is OKX here. It's also, this has been stable after a nice leg up and a good leg down. Most apes get blown out on OKX for some reason. If you see multi-million-dollar liquidations, there's a good chance it's OKX. Same with Bybit. I don't think this is spot, but perps, little downside, but also up again. So spot versus perps, spot is selling hard and perps is keeping it up. I've said this before. One side is going to be on the wrong side of this trade, and they'll have to catch up. Either perps is over leveraged and long while spot is selling. If spot managed to break down and accelerates, and perps has to cover by selling itself as well, we're going to cascade down, and that will just trigger the next leg down, I think. So second bearish thing, spot's been selling behind the scenes. It's perps keeping the price up. And then another one is the QQQ, which is an ETF that mimics the NASDAQ 100, which is the top 100 companies that are listed.
Big stocks.
But it, big stocks, but it excludes financial stuff like banks.
Yep.
This is from 2022. If your price, don't know what the red line is. I think it's your 200-day moving average or something. This is 2022. And then if you go to the other picture, this is today. Same red line, exact same pattern, right? If you all swap a bit between the two, it is almost identical. Which indicates, well, it doesn't indicate anything. It's a fractal. It could indicate that we're going to go down. And history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. And I think I see this in the SPX as well. I think we're like after 9 days of up only on the SPX, I think we're due for some downside. And I think that downside will accelerate by the fact that Perps is keeping up Bitcoin and it's spot selling. Once Perps needs to puke, we're going to accelerate hard, I think. And that's give or take my bearish case. So basically, dollars bound for a little upside. Not to forget, we have been up only for $23,000, 30%. It's not up only in one rocket, right? Mm-hmm. There is some drawbacks as well. Now, how bearish am I? Well, for that, I'll go to the next chart. I've always wanted to short or go risk off or whatever you want to call it around 96. We've hit that point of control of this entire range. This is volume profile, so red line is your point of control, and that's in that range. This is where I initially wanted to short ever since, I don't know, down here actually. I did start shorting and I got impatient and greedy, and I started shorting here and I got stopped out because like, oh, it will never reach, just roll over. And this is then yet another fractal, which I think I've shown before. I think if it's open on here, I'm not sure. On 2020, I believe it was. This is 1 week and Sol. We don't need Sol. We need Bitcoin 1 day. Here. And then put the year, it's the yearly fractal. So let's put a line for the yearly on the bottom chart. April, January. Like this. If we then zoom in a little bit. Almost there, I promise. Yeah, I think we're here. We're in this little valley. We had our yearly open, just as we had our yearly open over here. I'll turn it on the top one. And I'll put it to the 4 hours. So on the top one, the yearly open is the red line here. This is the yearly open. The bottom one is the dotted line, this. And I think we're doing exactly the same. It won't let me drop. There we go. I think we're doing this. I think we're just breaking down here. Go below, retest it, lose it again, and then down. I think that's my long play into the summer, and I am shorts from 96 plus into 97. I think my average is like 96.8 or something over most exchanges, and that's basically what I'm playing. Where am I wrong? Above 94, 95,000. Which is basically above the value high. If we start closing higher time frame, a 12-hour, 1 day, maybe even 4 hours, not 4 hours, 12 hours, 1 day, weekly close especially, I'm wrong. But I think we're rolling over and we're at least testing this range again. But as you said, what was your 300-day average? Was something like this, around 80K. If we start going below here, my target is still 65,000. That's my ultimate goal. And if you manage to catch 96 to 65 at $30,000 move, 33% move, give or take, yeah, if you did that with size, you're going to eat good for the rest of the year. And then that's my play. Am I going to be right? I don't know, but that's the trade I'm currently taking.
Okay. It's super valid. It's a possibility that can happen. My view is more long term, so I'm still gonna play it more long term. I think it's definitely a possibility. The only thing I was questioning, so let's say if we base our trading strategy on my the things that I said, so that I think Bitcoin is gonna do well, but riskier stuff is still not good. Isn't it an idea for you then, for example, to leave Bitcoin alone and to short altcoins, for example?
Yes, and the reason I'm not doing that is there's a thesis going around which I actually super agree with. If you throw up Ethereum next to this, Ethereum on this, well, let's do one or do a week. Let's turn off the log so it looks a little bit more dramatic. There we go. And then if you do Bitcoin in 1 week, like the difference between this and this is up only, while this has been down only, give or take. I know it's a little skewed because I'm only showing 2023 here and this is 2025. It round tripped 2023 while Bitcoin didn't round trip, it went up only. The thesis being that we are in a mini bear market, and the reason why Bitcoin didn't drop back as much like Ethereum did is because sailors just buying so much Bitcoin, it's not dropping. And we're in a shortened bear market, which is not reflecting in Bitcoin because Saylor is buying an absurd amount of Bitcoin. And I think he announced he's going to buy $42 billion more, I think, double of the first 21 billion he was going to buy. And a lot of smart people are getting to the point where, if this backfires somehow, Bitcoin's done over for. It's a risk at this point, the amount of money he's throwing at it. And even the people who were defending him a while ago are starting to question it. So I think it's risky. But the reason I'm not shorting altcoins is I think we already saw the drawdown of altcoins, the swinger, the more swing shorts. I think if Bitcoin does roll over to 65,000, you might have like one more leg down. I think Rect Proof had a very nice fractal on ETH. Let's pull up ETH.
I think there's a good play as well. It's like on the 4 hour or something, an inverse head and shoulders into the, or no, it's maybe on the daily inverse head and shoulders, and then it measures into the Ichimoku cloud, and then it can do an edge to edge or something like that. Mm-hmm. I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah, I think this is a trade I took and I got stopped out on. Let's remove it. I think Rect Proof was saying there's a fractal that goes into below 13 or 1400 into the 1300s. Then it chops around a bit and then it goes off. If we get below $1,400, I'll start buying spot Ethereum. I think it has been forming horribly. We were both super wrong on it, but I do think it is undervalued as fuck, if I can say so. If you can put on the daily cloud, it's got a nice setup. This is an inverse head and shoulders, which measures into the cloud, and then it performs the edge to edge. So it's. I'm trying to look for the head and shoulders, but I'm not seeing it. Inverse, you just know the, yeah, and then the next one will be forming now. Oh, like this? Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess. Maybe in the future. It could be that it rolls over, yeah, and then the target if that would be an edge to edge on the cloud, right? And that's like 2,500.
But it's not there yet.
If we roll over, I think if we do roll over, this it's going to form like this, and this is probably going to form like this for the cloud. But yeah, it's a possibility. Point being, if we ever go below 1,400 Ethereum, I'm going to break open the piggy bank and I'm going to buy some long-term Ethereums to sell for 2,000 plus, and that's more like a 50% upside trade. Also interesting that we got rejected off the key June, I think it is, the red one. Yeah. I keep mixing those two up. It's very interesting, rejected those. For Bitcoin, looks a bit better. We had the bullish flip below the cloud. The cloud is still red, so it's not like go, go, go signal. I think your go, go, go signal is a flip above the cloud. We didn't get a flip above the cloud here, but it took a while for the cloud to flip, actually. But if your cloud flipped, it was like basically your signal for go. I think the signal to go was once we started breaking up here, like above the Tenkin. Now we had the bullish flip. We're above the cloud, but the cloud is still red.
Fine, that's neutral bearish, neutral bullish.
A very nice trade, I think, would be edge to edge here from 92 till 84, because that also lines up perfectly currently with the value low of your entire range.
The edge to edge better works downwards if the cloud is green.
Ah, okay, there you go. Our local cloud expert. Another interesting thing that's been mentioned is the monthly open here. So your monthly open here, the open has been very flat. I think the little wick you see here is $50. If you zoom out a little bit, you barely see that wick. Can't even show it on the weekly because the weekly hasn't closed yet this month. Here you see a little better, very little wick. So this is a magnet for liquidity over here. So it's perfectly possible we do this. I'll probably start to close or put stops break even or above the high at least if we start closing below the yearly, because I do think it's going to be like this, like stutter around on the yearly like we did here. But for now, no weekly closes or daily closes below the daily over here once we got there, right? It's been defended really well. So we know the yearly open is a very important level. And if we trade down back below to the yearly open, it's going to be defended for a while. Very unlikely we're just going to nuke straight through, bar given some macro events, because I do think my like 90 to 65,000 trade is dependent on something breaking on the macro level where the world just like panics. Maybe it doesn't need to be a black swan. I don't think it will be a black swan, but I think it is possible. Or it's a trigger that's needed to break down to 60s. I'll probably take profits in high 80s over here, like maybe this trends up like 88, 89, 87. It's probably where I take some profits and keep one trade open to 65. But yeah, that's my current plan. Down, I think we're overextended. We had a 30% rally into the point of control.
We'll do the outro, but first maybe some questions from chat. So there's one question from Rage Jedi. Let me go to my screen. So what he's saying is he's talking about Ed. So why you also bullish Ethereum? Isn't it old tech like 56K? And then he says ETBTC chart kind of showing that. So let's see the ETBTC chart. So indeed, ETBTC is going down only, but I don't think this is solely an Ethereum problem. Like I said in my altcoin video, altcoins and Bitcoin dominance is basically just liquidity. And when liquidity is moving downwards, when there is no excess global liquidity, when the Fed is not printing money, when the interest rates are down, we see altcoins not moving. And to me, Ethereum is just shows the state of altcoins. It's just the biggest altcoin, so it shows the general state of altcoins. You can see the Bitcoin dominance chart. It's basically just ETH BTC inversely. So to me, it's just the same. Let's say Ethereum, let's say that we were at the moment in quantitative easing, we were at low interest rates. Obviously, Ethereum would perform better than Bitcoin, and then you would just say, "Oh, Ethereum has good tech," but no, it just depends on the macro environment. So, I think everyone's how can I say it? What everyone is thinking on Twitter and YouTube, for example, on Ethereum is mostly based on the fact that Ethereum price is going down, but this is mostly because of the macro events that are happening. So to answer on that is, I don't think Ethereum is old and bad tech. The only problem and negative thing I have with Ethereum is that it's moving super slow. And for a tech company or for a product to move forward, I kind of follow the move fast and break things. And that's Ethereum. Ethereum is not doing that. But however, not at all. But I think Ethereum still has the best blockchain technology. So as in most decentralized, most secure blockchain there is, it's also most widely distributed. I think it's better than Solana. I think it's better than Sui. I think Solana and Sui serve other purposes. So I'm still a fan of Ethereum. I still think Ethereum will be the most widely used blockchain. BlackRock is thinking that as well. So I think every big corporation that will make something on blockchain will use Ethereum. The only problem, has been using Ethereum. The only problem is just it's moving too slow. And I think a lot of people would have thought Ethereum would be better tech by now, but that won't mean that in a couple of years it will still has the best tech. So I'm still in favor of Ethereum. And then the second negative thing is too much layer 2s took some how can I say it, market share from Ethereum, and that's why Ethereum price is not going upwards. So that's a negative thing for the price as well. But if you just look at the tech and being used all around the world, I think Ethereum is still the best and mostly used. If I had a company, I would use Ethereum as well, but that doesn't always reflect in price because of the other things that I said. Yeah. All right. Do you have anything to add, Circle, on that?
No. Only thing is, we're up 30%. I don't think this is the time to target for new all-time high. I wouldn't be opening fresh longs here. I can accept that well, of course I have to accept that you can't short here, but I wouldn't smash long into all-time high. Scalping, intraday trading, perfectly fine. I don't see this going in run rockets to all-time highs from here.
What are you talking about?
Bitcoin in general.
Okay. All right, so let's do our predictions. Let's go on the daily. Points for me.
Yep. My level was okay, but we bumped from it 2 weeks ago.
We bounced off the cloud, which is nice. I'm gonna put my line exactly on the same spot. I'm gonna move it a little bit down, 84.7 on the bottom of the cloud as well. Like, you got top of cloud, I'll take bottom of cloud. There we go. Yeah. Again, like we said, I think it was 2 weeks ago, or I said 2 weeks ago, predicting what the price is going to be next week, Saturday, is super hard because you can get the direction right. Price can hit that target in the middle of the week and then yields into the other direction. It is very hard to say, oh, what's the price going to be on Saturday? So it is more of an indicator, where do I think the price is going to go? Then it's going to be there. I hope it's there. The general sentiment is we both think lower.
Down, yeah, a little lower.
To me, it's mostly because we saw the upwards movement already. That's just it. Okay, let's call it a day. I think this was a very nice stream, Zirkul. Thank you very much. Also, everyone that watched, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Please leave a like, as always, leave a comment. And if you want to discuss more, join our Discord. And if not, we see you next week. And yeah, bye, guys.
Bye.